Hello and welcome to This Naked Chat, a podcast where six friends from different walks of life come together for honest, unscripted conversations about living alcohol-free and everything that comes with it. We all met at a live event hosted by Annie Grace of This Naked Mind in March of 2024. What started as a mastermind group with the six of us and Annie turned into some really deep friendships, filled with connection, tough conversations, and a lot of laughter. And after a year of growing and learning together, we realized that these conversations might help more than just us. So here we are, no scripts, just real talk. We are incredibly grateful to Annie and This Naked Mind for helping us get this off the ground and for the impact that her work has had on each of our lives. I am Brian, and I am joined by Kori, Agnes, Judi, Jenie, and Sammie. Let's dive in. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Brian.
Hello.
It's Labor
Jenny,
Day.
you never say hi to the rest of us. You only say hi to Brian.
Well,
Hi,
that's
Jenny.
true.
I just busted
Hi,
Yeah,
your
we
chops.
do.
Judy.
We do that, don't we?
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Kori.
Hi, everyone.
Whoopsie.
So it's there's four of us: Judi, Kori, Jenie. The other two, it is Labor Day, so we're doing this. Okay, I just read it already, and then I didn't say, "Oh shit."
What did you say?
Your
But-
face did.
I know. No, it's not bad. It's living alcohol free is just living, is what this says. Let me
Oh.
see. Was that a Kori one? Is that why you're smiling?
No, I didn't write it, but it's funny.
Let me see if I can find. Was there anything else on this one?
Living alcohol-free is just living? Or living alcohol-free is just living?
Oh,
Where's the
That one?
emphatic there?
Well, let's talk about that.
See? Already. Big topic. Go, Jenny.
I took it like, hey, it's just normal. It's not this freakish thing that everybody makes it out to be. Like, hey, you don't drink. That's still living like everybody else.
And you can add to that, well, it's living because you actually don't have screen. You don't have
Yeah,
that veil
right.
of numbness between you and life.
Yes. Amen. Yep.
yeah. There were no other notes on it. Okay, so yeah, living alcohol free is just living. I took that as saying like, I like what Kori is saying too. Is like, I don't feel like much changed for the negative. You know, I think it was holding me back more than anything, and I feel like now I'm living more. But to your point, it was questionable for other people more than me, right? Like, I think that was the big thing is they're like, you're doing what? And I still get it. I got it this morning. Someone's like, well, you kind of turned your life around. You quit drinking and all that. I'm like, I don't know that that alone turned my life around. It just made me prioritize things a little differently.
Yeah, totally. Like I think because there's, all through popular culture, there's like this mythology around it. Like you must have hit rock bottom and like, your life was a disaster and that's why you quit drinking and turned your life around and, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I think that's like the mythology of the whole not drinking or something. I don't know. It's bizarre.
And do you think,
think-
like, to your point, do you think that's going away, right? A little bit? Like,
I
yeah.
do. I mean, because like the younger people they don't drink as much. I mean, I can't tell you how many of like my friends' kids, either they don't drink at all or they just drink very rarely. It's not like, I don't know. I feel like in my generation, it was like this rite of passage. Like that was what adult entertainment was, And I feel like the younger people are all about just living in general. Like they want to live life, so they don't have to escape from anything because they're all about just living life.
I think too. I wish that was true for my nieces, Kori, but maybe they'll get there. I think also another way to interpret that statement is it can be really scary to think about stopping drinking. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to succeed at this? How am I going to succeed at life? And so that decision can come with a lot of heaviness for people. And I think this is a way of saying, it's just living. It's not, your life is not going to be significantly impacted, certainly not to the negative. And you're just living. That's all you're doing. You're just living, is maybe another way to look at that statement.
And then you can expound on that and say, but what is living?
Oh, you want to go there?
No, I'm just no, but I'm just saying, right? I'm thinking about what Jenny says. It's solid, right?
Yeah.
It's solid. It's not a big deal. Just stop drinking and you're going to have your life, and life is great. But fear, as Jenny's talking, I'm in my head, I'm hearing the word fear, 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 fear. And what's fear? Fear of what? Fear of not drinking because, oh my gosh, because then I have to face life. So is it really the fear of not drinking or the fear of facing life that screws you up?
That's where my head went to, Judi, is that, and it's funny because like I notice it, like that was my first defense to facing life, right? Drinking was like, and now that it's been gone for whatever, 5 years for me, I think, something like that. I still have to face life, and it's not necessarily easier. And there's still fear. I just now don't have that to block it. I don't know. Like to your point, like I'm more willing to explore it, knowing that I maybe because I gave one of my protectors up and it didn't kill me, that now I'm a little less fearful.
Because why?
To go explore.
But why are you less?
I didn't die.
Okay, so you have what now? More confidence?
Yeah, curiosity.
But you have confidence in being curious? I mean, what's the base that's holding you up? If we are hanging on to alcohol because we swear that's what's holding us up, that's, I mean, think about it, right? You think about fear. Oh my gosh, I've been drinking for 20 years or whatever the number, even 5 years. And you've become so dependent on it. There's a lot of layers to break off, no?
Yeah, interesting. I see what you're saying. So it's more of like, look, I'm confident that this is standing in my way and that the other side, you almost have to trust that the other side is going to be there, is going to be better or just even there, right? On a lot of this work. I think maybe not just alcohol, but like, yes, I can face this and I use the word I'm going to die, like it, because sometimes it feels like that, right? If you give up something or you go into some sort of place that you're losing, what would that be? Control or that you just are unsure. Like, I don't know what's on the other side of this,
it's
but
unfamiliar.
You have to like trust or to your point, Judi, have confidence that one, you're not going to die, and two, there's a possibility that it's amazing.
That's such a good point. I mean, like, I can't tell you how many times in my life, like, I even though you know that what you're doing isn't serving you, right? There's dysfunction to it. Still, it's still what you know, right? And so to face the possibility of like doing something that you don't even have the faintest idea what that would look like, that's scary as hell. I mean, like, yeah, it seems like rationally, intellectually, it seems like, yes, I'm still going to have my life. It's still going to be fine, or it could even be better. But because there's this unfamiliarity, you don't know what that looks like for you. Like, it's a lot of times it seems safer to like hold on to the security blanket of the dysfunction and just like continue to live in that, even though it's very painful. It's the pain,
What helped you to get to the other side of that, Kori?
I mean, it's been with lots of things, not just booze. I mean, I think it was just like, I can't stand the way this is anymore. Like, I know that this is not serving me. I think it's just getting to a point where it's so painful that you're like, well, I don't know what the hell is going to happen, but I can't keep doing what the hell I'm doing. You know, I'm literally just beating my head against the wall. And so I got to do something, even if it's a lateral move. I don't know. I got to do something, because this isn't doing it.
That's when that's when it becomes, right, that the pain is not as painful as the pain is more painful than the pain you don't know.
Than the fear.
I said that backwards somehow, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly.
There's a really smooth way of saying that, but I just messed it up.
Yeah.
So
I think what helped me finally, because I held the same fear for so long, I knew it wasn't serving me, but I knew I needed it to make my workday go away. It was my solution to just erase it and have an evening. And I didn't know what to do if I wasn't going to have that. But I kept tripping over particularly coaches, and This Naked Mind coaches, and the joy on their faces was like seeping through my computer screen. And at first it was completely intangible to me what I was noticing. And then I was like, oh, I want some of that. And it finally switched for me, because I was also afraid of not drinking, but I was afraid of what the alcohol was doing to me. I was deathly afraid, even though it absolutely was not serving me. I became fearful of it and yet still used it. So instead of thinking I'm running away from alcohol out of fear and always watching behind me for when it's going to catch up to me, it was like, oh, I'm running toward the joy that I see on those faces on my screen.
Love it.
And that was a huge, huge shift for me, which I still revisit in other areas.
Yeah, that is so funny that you say that to me. Like, I would not say that in my worst days that the joy on somebody else's face was like something that I wanted. I thought those people were just like deluding themselves and like basically, if you are not a cynical asshole, then you don't really understand the nature of the world. And so if you're like joyful and happy, then obviously you're in some kind of fantasy land. And yeah.
Well, it can make you angry, but someone else's joyfulness, when you're not joyful and you're in a place of trying to figure it out, can make you mad, can it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I was mad. I was just like, you're just out of your mind. You're just like,
no, but I mean, but think about it.
I just thought you're just kind of ignorant, you know?
People get up in the morning, quit being so happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's true.
When people are like, ah!
Yeah. To be clear, I loathe pathologically cheerful people. I can't. I really do.
I'm sorry, that makes me sad. As I laugh. I'm sorry.
But these coaches were just, I mean, I remember the moment. I remember where I was. I remember sitting next to my husband and pointing and saying, I want that. Because, yeah, I was still like, but it was just so from within. It wasn't Hallmark cardish, you know.
It like an authentic, centeredness kind of,
It wasn't isms and all of that crap. But yes, I take your point.
This episode is sponsored by The Path by This Naked Mind. It's a year-long program that combines expert guidance, daily support, and a connected community to help you take back control of your drinking so that you can wake up without regret, trust yourself again, and live a life that doesn't revolve around alcohol. Unlike the programs that focus on your behavior alone, The Path helps you eliminate the desire to drink using science-backed content, world-class coaching, and a compassionate community that really, truly gets it. So you can feel confident and in control of your relationship with alcohol without shame, without rules, and without missing out on the things that matter most. And in 2025, support is more accessible than ever before with live online coaching calls every hour on the hour from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Saturday. No matter where you are in the world or what your day looks like, support is always there, right in your back pocket. Learn more and start your path to freedom at nakedmindpath.com.
Well, that's what, when you said that too, I think that's the other part of going through something like this. I don't know if are we still on topic? We'll see. But like, I think having that support that you get through a program too, like you had with This Naked Mind, in some of this work that like I know that I'm doing now, like just knowing that someone's on the other side of it to support me is huge as well. And so the people that don't have that, I mean, I could see how this is 8 million times harder.
Of course.
Like, I don't know, like when you don't know, you know, because I mean, you kind of go down in mood maybe for a while, and you're like, I don't know that I'm going to bounce out of that. So I need someone on the other side, like you're saying, of that camera to be like, they've been through this and they came out of it. And I have to trust again that I'm going to do the same. I find myself trying to surround myself like with those people too, that I'm like, that person seems to be at more, you know, at peace. I'm going to hang out with them more.
Yeah,
well,
and learn their secrets.
And that plays into like nature abhors vacuums, right? Because if you're just leaving something, if you're just leaving, I'm going to stop alcohol. Well, then what? Now you have a void. But if you're going to Jenny's point, no, I want that. I'm going towards, then you're not really leaving anything. You're not leaving a big vacuum for you to get sucked up into. You're moving into, so you have a goal.
That's a great point, because, you know, one of the things that I find hardest about just, I don't know,
life,
doing anything, life, is like sitting in this kind of messy middle of like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm afraid of like running towards something because, well, I've screwed that up before. And, you know, like, and like sitting here sorting out whatever the hell it is you're supposed to sort out. I mean, half the time that's not even clear. And like, it's your natural instinct is to fill that void with something, like latch on to something. Like, I think it's what you see. There's this huge, kind of, especially in like the ultra marathon type world, like, this is a huge place for addiction recovery, because people like jump out of addiction and they got to latch onto something. And so, you know, they naturally latch onto more pain and suffering because, you know, if you come from a traumatic background, which is probably why you were drinking to begin with, then you want to go toward more pain and suffering. But you're so right, Judi. It's just like this, I don't know. How do you balance that? Like, sitting in the icky middle, but also feeling like I gotta walk towards something, even though I don't know what the something is. Like,
well, but that's where you put your juices, right? That's where you put your energy, is to like, all right, I do this lately, almost daily. If I could do anything in the world, what would it be? What would it be? Because sitting in a vacuum is the most painful thing I personally have ever experienced.
Yep.
And sometimes, I mean, that can lead to that existential kind of crisis kind of thing, right? Because you're just floating and it's like, So sometimes if you can look at, well, I don't know what that is. Or you talk to people and you say, well, what do you do? And blah, blah. I mean, that's where the curiosity, even in your pain, you can still, rather than say, I got to leave this pain, I got to leave this spot, rather than even looking at that, just fester in it. So what? And focus on what's my next step, but not in a constructive way that is a healthy mindset, because when we're sitting in the fester, we don't have the healthy mindset, right? So we can sit like, well, I don't like this fester, but if I could do anything I wanted, what would it be? And most of the time that wouldn't include alcohol, right? If I could do any, and you know, think about, oh, I'm drinking so much, I got to stop drinking, blah, blah, blah. Because then where's your focus? All on the negative. But if you just say, so what? I'm doing this. So what? Stop judging it. Stop carrying it. I mean, it's all what we teach, right? Stop blaming yourself. Stop shaming yourself. And just say, all right, if I could, what would it be? And what does that look like? And then you start painting that picture. Even if you're 3 scotches in, you can still paint that picture.
That resonates with me a whole lot, Judi, because another interpretation for me of this statement, living alcohol-free is just living, is using the word just as it applies to justice. And so just living, which for me, I guess means, am I being true to myself? Am I operating within what I view as my integrity day to day? Most of the time, there will be trips, of course. And I mean, I haven't thought far enough to think, I mean, I'm sure there are other things, but fundamentally for me, it still comes back to, am I being true to myself? That also is just living, I think. And you can't, none of us are able to do that when there's alcohol, like Judi said, being a scrim or a screen between, Peter and I talk about this. I used to feel like there was this inflatable wine bottle between he and I, but it was also between I and me. It was sitting right there. So that resonates with me, Judi.
I love that. I love that.
Too.
So
I love
what
that
about,
just living. Good one, Jenie. I love that.
What about when, though, you've created your identity around alcohol, right?
Well, but if you're still sitting in it, you can create your identity. You can say, well, this is who I am. This is what I do, right? Like it's the same with being overweight. I can put it to myself. I'm an overweight person. I've always been overweight, right? And people say, well, in my mind, let's look at food just for fun, because I hate it. Look at exploration. So if we look at food, right, you say, oh, I've always been a fat kid. Yeah, I was born fat, blah, 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 blah. I can ring this to me all day long. But really what the thing is, I can't anchor in my head, whoa, look at the life you'd have if you could peel off all this. More, it's like, but I really like this food, or I really like that. And am I hiding behind an identity of, well, I've always just been the fat kid. That's what I've always been told, so don't worry about it. It's genetic. I mean, how much of that? Same with like alcohol. Well, alcohol runs in the family, alcoholism. So you're going to be stuck with it just like Bob was, or Uncle Bill was, or right?
No, I think you're right. It gets really ingrained. I think I'm thinking of like people like build lifestyles around, and food's a great example of like food or booze of like, I mean, they'll take vacations, right? Like the whole vineyard tours and all of that, or they'll like every distillery, in the freaking world, and like that like that's their whole existence revolves around. The same thing with food. Like people get obsessed with whatever foodie type thing they think they are or whatever, and like they build this whole identity around it. And so then when you do have, like Judi, you're saying like, hey, I'm getting overweight to the point that I am having questions about this, like it's making my life uncomfortable. Maybe I can't sit in a normal airplane seat, whatever it is. Like those things happen, but there's this huge cognitive dissonance happening in your brain of like, I'm suffering these consequences, but my whole identity is around being this foodie person or this, wine connoisseur or whatever, the thing is like that whole space is so painful. And I think it makes what we're talking about even more scary of like, I don't know what my life is if I don't have this as my identity. And what do I do with that?
Yeah.
So then we have to look at, how do we rationalize, right? How much of my life is really just, as Jenie's saying, and how much of my life is unjust because I'm rationalizing the heck out of it. Well, I don't have to even look at this because, wow, this is who I am. But is it? Are you a miserable person? Were you created to be a miserable person? No.
It's been interesting. I have to observe. I have a nurse friend who for many, many years was quite overweight. And for that reason, but also for other medical reasons, about maybe 8-10 months ago now, she started on one of the injectables and has had a precipitous loss in weight, and she's having cognitive dissonance because of that. And she's well in tune with addiction and mindset change and rewiring. I mean, she's very in tune, and this just came, like, almost paralyzed her, because she's so long been the fat person, and now she's exceedingly not. And she says, I don't feel like I know myself anymore, and I'm having to start over. And that all came as a complete surprise to her. And I can equate that to alcohol for sure. It's just been very interesting to watch.
I think that's probably a really good point there of like how much we don't really know who we are. You know, like when you said just living, I was like, it seems to be that at least for me on the alcohol front, it was just like, I knew that the life I was living wasn't really aligned with who I really wanted to be. I did not know the other person. And that seems to be the path that I'm on now, is to figure out, okay, I was told all these stories about who I was as a kid and forever, right? For 50 years, that I never got in tune with who I really was. And now I'm just starting to figure that out even. I don't even know that I'm just starting to, it feels like some days, but like man, that's where it almost does go back to a curiosity or a trust that I'm going to go figure out who I am or who I was meant to be, without all the stories and like, to Kori's point of those personas of I'm a wine or whatever the stories that or labels that I put on myself that just weren't true. They were someone else's, and I'm going to like rewrite this script for my new life at any age. That's what it seems to be for me.
You don't
is that a fun journey.
Oh God. Yeah. But I would push back and say, you don't even have to rewrite a script. You're just uncovering, you're just digging back and pulling back, the layers of linoleum and wire flooring.
Who labeled me that, or who gave me that story in my head?
Exactly. You're just pulling back those layers. It's not even reinventing. It's just excavating.
Now, do you think all of this, I mean, I'm curious about this. Do you think all of this is the human condition, or do you think this is cultural? How we view ourselves. I mean, I'm just thinking, if we were in fact born and cherished as human beings, as we are created to be born and cherished as human beings, if we were born that way and valued in the way that we needed, I mean, I'm not ditching on parents of any sort. I'm just saying, because parents also went through whatever and they're doing the best they can with what they have. I'm saying, are there different cultures that don't carry this burden of, oh, I'm so afraid to find out who I am because I must be a piece of nonsense because that's what I've been internalized since birth?
Oh my gosh. I have been thinking about this so much the last couple of weeks. I mean, like I'm trying to figure out, like, what evolutionary advantage could there possibly be for us to like pass along trauma, right? To like not love your kids unconventionally, or is that just a byproduct of the modern environment, right? Like, and how did that develop? I mean, because there just happened to be more and more people, and we started living in closer and closer community, and so that was the natural byproduct of us being in such close community. Or is there some like evolutionary advantage to being, like having, it's kind of like, I think about personalities, like almost, this huge spectrum. And at one end you have like the severe narcissist, and at the other end you have like the, the person that tolerates the narcissist basically, and who caters and does whatever. And then, theoretically you're somewhere in between where you have a good sense of self and you can kind of, call either one a spade a spade. But like, is that real? Is that like the nature of humanity, is to have this huge span? Or is it because of this environment that we've developed for ourselves? Like, you totally hit it on the head, Judi. I have been thinking about this so much lately, of like how it seems counterproductive to me, right? It seems counterproductive to like have all of these people who, like, or maybe here's the modern environment that's screwing with us. Maybe that, like, the nature of trauma and all of that is kind of the natural thing, but like, because the modern environment has let us numb, escape, whatever, then we never pushed back, we never asserted ourselves, we never figured out who we were, because the modern environment gave us like all these other ways to like not have to deal with it. I don't know. It's so bizarre to me that we are in the state that we are in.
Can you define modern? What's your definition of when you say modern? What does that mean? Before I would say
since modern is probably since we had like reliable agriculture such that the population could grow exponentially and that we started living closer and closer together.
I think all of this is a product of just human nature, because I think only because I did a fair amount of genealogy shit in my previous life, like a lot, back to the 1700s for sure. And in gathering those stories, at least in my family, there was still kind of the same kind of cycles among the humans. They didn't have as much time to deal with it because they were busy trying to grow food and survive. But the stories that have come out over that research are the same stories, just recycled. And now, to your point, yeah, there are so many more of us. So I think there are so many more stories. So maybe it's a product of both and. I don't know.
I think that would be a wonderful topic to put in our hat.
Mm.
I've been thinking about that a lot as well. So, yep.
Or what if there was a way that we could all actually tap into the whole everything, that no matter who we are, we're loved?
Amen. It just takes, 50 years to figure that out.
Well, I know, but
Right.
maybe, I find that because I always hated myself all the time, ever since I can remember, because I was broken and all this and that. But when I think about how can we change, because I've been thinking about this a lot, like, because I'm watching so many people get beat up, and I'm watching so many people beat themselves up, and I'm watching how miserable. Well, how do we change that? Well, how do we change the attitude about alcohol? Like, one person at a time, right? But how can we best learn to love ourselves, except to extend ourselves and try to open and accept someone just the way they are, so that we, in fact, are loving them like the way we want to be loved. And in giving that, we're going to get it back. Even if they're miserable about it, we're still in that giving. We have to dig that up from somewhere. So we're showing ourselves that, in fact, we have it. And so how do we do that? One person at a time.
And that's the fundamental challenge of being human, right? Because, those layers of emotion, one of those layers is judgment, and it's automatic, and it shows up, and it's hashtag because human. There it is.
But because human, well, we love ourselves because human. I mean, but not in an unrealistic, dopey, delusional way. I don't mean that at all. We love ourselves, bones and all. bones and all. Yeah, they're totally messed up. Yeah, they got all these bruises. But you know what? They're worth loving because I am.
Yep.
I don't know. That's how I am concluding my bit
I like
today.
this. I think that's a good place to end. I think, and that could be a real good topic to your point of like, how do you actually believe that about yourself? That, hey, you know what? You're perfect just the way you are. That seems to be what always, right when you wake up, you're like, How
do you believe that? You say, are you human?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but are you human? Yes. Are humans perfect? No.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly human. Carry on.
Well, Judi, Kori, Jenie, it was lovely chatting with you today.
Likewise. I think
chatting with all of you.
I think Judi just nailed our closer. I am perfectly human. There it is.
That's it.
Love it.
Hey, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If something we said resonated, made you laugh, or made you think, we'd love it if you share it with someone who might need it too. And if you're curious about going alcohol-free or just ready to feel more connected to yourself, check out This Naked Mind. Annie's work brought us all together, and we're so grateful for the impact it's had. On that note, a big thank you to Annie Grace and This Naked Mind for making this podcast possible. We'll see you next time on This Naked Chat.